is a magical story about an unusual friendship that will teach you to be kinder and more helpful to others. Do you want to know more? Then let's get started. Once upon a time in a small village at the foot of a mountain lived a kind and cheerful penguin named Soso. Every day he went out into the forest near his house, picked some berries and fish for himself and his mother. As soon as Soso got home with his present, his mom would say, "You're such a good boy, Soso. You always bring me delicious food. But don't forget to also make some preparations for winter. Soon it will come and we need to stock up on fish and berries for this period." "Okay, Mom," said Soso obediently, although in his heart he thought that winter was still far away and it was much more fun to play than to work. So one day while playing near the river, Soso met a bunch of his friends. Together they decided to have a snowball fight. While the penguins were having fun, no one noticed how the playful snowballs turned into serious fights and how the battle over the leadership among them began. They shouted, they scolded each other, and when Soso came back to his senses, he realized that he didn't know where he'd gone. He didn't even remember how he ended up so deep in the forest. The sun had already set and darkness was falling all around. Realizing that he had to get home before his mom got too worried, Soso hurried along the dark forest path. Suddenly, something white caught his eye. It looked like a big boulder, but as he drew closer, he saw that it was a girl made of ice. She was standing perfectly still and her arms were stretched out as if she wanted to hug something. Feeling sorry for the strange girl, Soso approached her and asked, "Are you all right?" In response, she shook her head slightly and made a sad face. "Oh, are you frozen? Don't worry. I'll warm you up a bit and you'll be fine." Having said that, Soso began to blow hot air on the girl, but instead of getting better, she began to shake more and more. Remembering what his mother had once told him, that you can't help everyone, Soso got scared and ran away. The next morning, after his mom calmed him down a bit and helped him remember what had happened the day before, Soso decided to return to the girl. When he found her, he brought her some fish and berries, which he'd managed to steal from his mom's pantry. "Here, eat these," he said. The girl took the food and slowly began to eat it. Then she stood up and smiled at Soso for the first time. Although her smile was somewhat creepy, Soso was happy to see that she was doing better, and he continued to visit her every day, bringing her food and telling her all sorts of stories. Sometimes he sang songs or told her funny jokes, and although she couldn't laugh at his jokes, she always smiled at them. Also, Soso was surprised to notice that she was melting a little every day. However, she didn't turn into water, but remained a solid but slightly softer and more pliable figure. One day, when Soso arrived, he found that the girl wasn't in her usual place. He looked around and finally saw her a little further on. When he got closer, he saw that she was crying. "Why are you crying? What happened?" asked Soso, worried. "I'm so sorry," the girl replied, "but because of me, you've probably become the worst thief in town. Your mother must be very upset with you now." "It's okay," said Soso, smiling. "My mom understands that I had good intentions and she forgives me. And will you keep visiting me?" the girl asked. "Of course, I promise," said Soso. "I won't break my promise," and he kept his word. However, as days went by, Soso noticed that the girl was melting more and more, and when he returned one day, he found that she had completely melted away and there was no trace of her. Although Soso was very upset that he hadn't been able to save the girl, he still hoped that someday their paths might cross again. About 2 weeks had passed since then. Soso was sitting sadly by the river when suddenly a beautiful swan landed nearby. "Why are you so sad? It doesn't look like you," the swan asked. Soso poured his heart out to the swan, telling her about his friend made of ice. "Oh, you mean the girl who became your friend? Yes, that's the one. I just want her to be okay," said Soso. Then the swan said to him, "Listen, Soso, I'm friends with all the animals in the forest, and I know a badger who has a magical cave. If you take her to that cave, she'll definitely be able to help your friend." "Really? That would be great. Thank you so much," Soso replied happily. Then the swan and Soso set off together to find the badger. When they finally found her, Soso immediately explained why he'd come. "Okay, I understand. Let's go to my cave right now," said the badger, and they all went on their way. When they arrived at the badger's cave, it was already dark outside, so Soso lit a lantern and hung it above his head. "Now I need to go home, but I'll be back tomorrow to see if your friend is feeling better," Soso said to the badger. "Okay, see you later," the badger replied. Soso opened the door and went out into the forest. Suddenly, a familiar voice stopped him. "Soso, wait a minute," she called. Soso turned around and saw the girl made of ice behind him. How is this possible?" Soso asked. "The badger helped me, but I'm still cold and hard," the girl replied sadly. "No, you're not," said Soso, realizing what he had to do. He hugged the girl as best as he could, and she instantly began to melt. Startled at first, Soso soon realized that she wasn't turning into water. Instead, she was becoming soft and pliable like clay. "So that means you saved me, Soso," she said to him with a smile. "We did it together," Soso replied, blushing. "And now tell me, what's your name?" "My name is Nessa," she said. "It's nice to finally hear your voice and see your face." "Likewise," Soso admitted. From that moment on, Sisa and Sizo became best friends. They played together every day, and sometimes Sizo stayed overnight in the forest so he wouldn't have to part with her for so long. But when spring came, Sizo realized that it was time to get ready for his journey to the south with the rest of the birds. "I'll miss you, Sizo," Nessa said sadly. "And I'll miss you too," he replied. "But don't be sad. We'll definitely meet again." Before saying goodbye, Nessa gave Sizo a ring made of icicles. "Keep this. It'll protect you on your journey," she said. "Thanks, Nessa." As soon as Soso joined the other birds migrating south, the first thing he did was show them the ring Nessa had made for him. All the birds admired the beautiful accessory, and Soso felt proud that his friend had made it for him. A year flew by like a bird in flight, and soon it was time for Soso to return home. When he spotted Nessa, he flew to her as fast as he could. "Sizo, I'm so glad you're back," she exclaimed. "I've been waiting for you all year." "Me too," Soso admitted. And he spent all his free time with Nessa until the time came for them to say goodbye again. This time, Sizo promised to return as soon as possible, and Nessa gave him a carved wooden pendant as a keepsake. Every year, Soso kept his promise and returned to see Nessa, and every time she gave him a new gift. Over time, Soso's collection of souvenirs grew bigger and bigger, and each item reminded him of the wonderful moments he'd spent with Nessa. In turn, Nessa never forgot to ask Soso about his adventures and listen to his stories about other places. Even though they had to say goodbye every time, both of them knew that their friendship would last forever. Friends, this touching story teaches us to be kinder and more helpful to others. After all, it was Soso's kindness and care that helped the girl made of ice to become a real girl, and their love for each other helped them to overcome any difficulties. So be more like Soso and you'll always have true friends who will love and appreciate you. That's all for today. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel and put on a like to encourage us. See you soon. Bye.